Welcome to Tales and Travel Adventures. Let's visit France. Hello, my name is Mary Beth Reidner. I am a retired librarian. In 2008, I developed a program called Tales and Travel. This is the 14th in a series of programs adapting Tales and Travel for online use by groups or individuals. There are two ways to use this program. You can just listen and follow along as I read the narrative that accompanies each slide, or you or your partner can turn down the volume and use the controls to pause each screen so that you can read the narrative out loud yourself. You might also want to talk with your partner about what you are seeing or about any memories that come to mind. France is the largest country in Western Europe. The English Channel and the Bay of Biscay are on its northern and western borders. Spain and the Mediterranean Sea form its southern borders. On its eastern border are Italy, Switzerland, and Germany. Belgium and Luxembourg lie to the northeast. We are starting our tour of France in the southeastern portion of the country, known as the French Riviera. But instead of lounging on the beaches of famous resort towns such as Nice, Saint-Tropez, and Cannes, we are going to travel up into the Alps to a small medieval town called Gourdon, which has amazing panoramic views of the mountains. Gourdon also has interesting shops, such as La Maison du Bon Miel, the House of Good Honey, on the left, or Les Parfums à Longue, which sells cologne and perfume made from flowers harvested from nearby lavender fields. Let's wander through the narrow village streets, enjoying the gardens and architecture. We might want to stop for ice cream at the little shop above. Our next stop on the French Riviera is the city of Marseille. Its most famous landmark is the Basilique Notre-Dame de la Garde, or the Basilica of Our Lady of the Guard. The church was built on the highest point in Marseille, over the ruins of an ancient fort. In this picture, you can see a spur of the old fort on the left side of the church. The current church was built in the late 1800s. Can you see the 37-foot-tall gilded statue of the Madonna and Child that sits atop the bell tower? Marseille has been a port city since its founding by the Greeks around 600 BC. This is the Vieux Port, or Old Port, where fishermen still sell their catch from the boats that line the piers. Before we leave Marseille, we need to visit the nearby national park called Massif du Calanque. A calanque is a massive limestone cove that forms steep and rocky valleys, similar to the fjords in Alaska and Norway. There are 26 calanques in this national park. You can buy a ticket to take a boat trip deep into the calanques, or if you are more adventurous, you might want to rent a kayak. Under the turquoise water lies a garden of diverse plants, as well as octopuses, anemones, urchins, and groupers. The plants and animals here are protected. On our way north to Paris, let's stop at the quaint historic town of Milly-la-Forêt. It lies within the forest of Fontainebleau, which lays claim to being the first nature reserve in the world. Famous 19th century French painters, such as Renoir, were inspired by the beautiful forest. Milly-la-Forêt is also known for its aromatic and medicinal plants. Designer Christian Dior lived here, and the town inspired the name of one of his fragrances. It's only an hour's drive to our next stop, Paris, the city of love. As we enter the city, two landmarks dominate the view. One is the River Seine, and the other is the Eiffel Tower. The Seine River is 483 miles long. It starts in northeastern France, and it runs right through the center of Paris, and finally empties into the English Channel. There are 37 bridges that cross the river in Paris. One of them lies just ahead of us. From just about anywhere in Paris, you can see the Eiffel Tower. It reaches 1,083 feet into the sky, about the same height as an 81-story building. It was designed by engineer Gustave Eiffel, who built it for the 1889 World's Fair. It was the tallest man-made structure in the world until 1930. The Eiffel Tower has 3 floors. We can see the first and second floors in this picture. Perhaps we can have lunch at the Jules Verne restaurant on the second floor. At 377 feet above the ground, there are great views of the city. We only have to climb 374 steps to get there. Or perhaps we should take the elevator? What do you think? There are magnificent views of the city below from the top of the Eiffel Tower, like this one. It's only a total of 1,665 steps to get to the top. Here's another view of Paris from the top of the Eiffel Tower. We can see the Arc de Triomphe in the center of this photo. It looks rather small from this distance. When we get closer, the Arc de Triomphe looks much bigger. The monument honors those who died in the French Revolution and the Napoleonic Wars. The Arc de Triomphe was completed in 1836. 12 avenues radiate out like a star from its location. Located on the right bank of the Seine, the Louvre Museum is the French National Art Museum. Originally built as a fortress, the Louvre Palace became the home of French kings. When Louis XIV made Versailles his palace in 1682, the Louvre became a place to display the royal art collection, including ancient Greek and Roman statues. The museum opened in 1793 with an exhibit of about 700 objects. Today, the Louvre contains about 500,000 art objects. In 1989, a new underground entrance, designed by architect I.M. Pei, was opened. The glass and metal pyramid stands in the center of the Napoleon courtyard. Leonardo da Vinci's Mona Lisa, which is perhaps the most famous portrait in the world, hangs in the Louvre. She looks directly at the observer, and her smile is described as mysterious. Over 6 million people come to see the painting each year. 2 famous ancient Greek statues are also on display in the Louvre. The one on the left depicts Venus de Milo, the goddess of love, that was found on the island of Milos in 1820. On the right, the winged victory of Samothrace depicts Nike, the goddess of victory. Not too far away from the Louvre is an island in the Seine River. On that island, we find the Cathedral of Notre Dame of Paris. Notre Dame means Our Lady. It took 90 years to build the cathedral, which was finished in 1250. It is famous for its flying buttresses, arches from the upper portion of the walls to solid piers that help support the weight of the vaulted ceilings and roof. The use of flying buttresses allowed for the installation of 3 large rose windows inside the cathedral. This is the south rose window, which was built in 1260. It measures about 42 feet across. There are 84 panels that tell the story of the Last Judgment. Over the centuries, the cathedral suffered from neglect and desecration. After Victor Hugo published a book called The Hunchback of Notre Dame in 1831, there was renewed interest in restoring the cathedral. During a renovation project in 2019, a fire broke out on the roof and caused much damage. Many of the artworks were saved, such as this 1920 statue of Joan of Arc, the patron saint of France. It is hoped that the cathedral will reopen in late 2024. Across the Seine from Notre Dame, we next head to the Pantheon. It was originally designed to be a church. After the French Revolution, it was transformed into a mausoleum, honoring those who died during the Revolution. It has been transformed from a church back to a mausoleum several times. Many famous French citizens have been buried there. 12 miles west of Paris is the Palace of Versailles, built in the late 1600s. 4 kings, all named Louis, made Versailles the seat of French government until the French Revolution in 1789. It was abandoned until Napoleon, Emperor of the French, made it his summer residence from 1810 to 1814. It is now a historical museum. An estimated 15 million people visit Versailles every year. One of the most popular attractions are the formal gardens, which include a grand canal and many fountains. During summer weekends, the fountains are all turned on to make a wonderful display. We have left Paris behind us and are now in the town of Dieppe on the northern coast of Normandy. Overlooking the English Channel is an old medieval castle that was built by an English king, Henry II, in 1188. It was quickly destroyed by the French king, but was restored in the 14th century. Today it is an art museum with a lovely collection of carved ivory and impressionist paintings. Our trip to France is going to end by visiting the beaches of Normandy. Today the beach is calm, but on June 6, 1944, this was the site of the largest amphibious military operation in history, D-Day. These landings took place across a 50-mile stretch of beach. 6,000 landing craft, ships, and other vessels carried 176,000 troops, 822 aircraft filled with paratroopers, and an additional 13,000 aircraft. Here we see the Wounded Soldier Memorial on Omaha Beach. On a bluff overlooking Omaha Beach, we can see rows of crosses at the American Cemetery. While this is a sad way to end our trip to France, it is important that we not forget our honored dead and to remember them with gratitude for what they sacrificed for us. This ends the slides for our sightseeing trip to France. Thank you for joining me. Before we leave France, it might be fun to sing a French song that many of us learned as children. This song was inspired by a bridge that is located in the city of Avignon in southern France. I will play the melody on my flute, and you can sing along using the lyrics on the next 2 screens. You sounded great! For another activity, you might want to create a free word search puzzle for yourself using websites such as this one, Word Search Maker. If you are artistically inclined, you might enjoy finding free coloring pages online. Try doing a search with terms such as Free Coloring Pages France. Then copy and paste an image into a word processing document and print it. Thank you for visiting France with me. If you have any questions or comments, please contact me at this email address. And also take a moment to fill out a brief survey about the value of this program. This work can be freely used by anyone using the Creative Commons license shown here. Thanks again, and have a wonderful day.